The beams have just started again, but I'm determined that today will not be another write-off. So, indeed, I've been thinking about the American-based high IQ network, Intertel, and Intertel is actually an intelligence function. It is a branch of the US and UK intelligence services. Indeed, it's quite interesting to consider how these high IQ societies fit in with the intelligence structures. Indeed, it seems Intertel are a network of eugenicist intelligence operatives and are chiefly operative as a branch of US and UK intelligence engaged in various research matters for those agencies. So it's interesting to consider this. Indeed, I was once acquainted with a schizophrenic who had been a member of Mensa. However, it seems that he was too difficult for the eugenicist types within Mensa to control, so they basically discarded him. Indeed, there seems to be a common theme with intelligence operations regarding their activities concerning schizophrenics. Indeed, they often recruit schizophrenics into their networks and then discard them, just as they often program schizophrenics and then discard them. And then they're surprised when schizophrenics behave the way they do in public and commit crazy acts. Indeed, it's interesting to consider the treatment of schizophrenics by these high IQ societies and by intelligence agencies. Indeed, as I stated before, I believe that I was programmed by British intelligence as a schizophrenic super spy, and it seems that I was a bit of an experimental reject and too difficult for the intelligence services to control, and therefore they just basically abandoned me and left me to my own devices. Indeed, British intelligence is top heavy with eugenicists in exactly the same way that neo-Soviet Russian intelligence is top heavy with psychopolitical theorists. So I explained a lot about this in my last video, the idea behind psychopolitics, which was the creation of Soviet intelligence, who for the majority of their history were acting in accordance with originally the Abwehr and later the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, international Nazi criminal syndicate. Indeed, there are so many overlapping interests between these networks that they are basically indistinguishable. So it's all quite interesting to consider. Indeed, I'm not sure exactly what direction British intelligence are going in. Indeed, there does seem to be a rather large cohort of Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives within the British intelligence structure, especially surrounding the current Director General of MI6, Blaise Metrovelli, the granddaughter of the Ukrainian Nazi collaborator. On that note, it is interesting to note that the majority of the paramilitaries and large segments of the Ukrainian army are basically neo-Nazi networks and coordinated by Ukrainian intelligence operatives who are themselves Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst agents. It is interesting to consider this, but it's also interesting to consider that the majority of Russian paramilitary networks and private contractors and various factions of the Russian army itself are also neo-Nazi networks coordinated by Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives. Indeed, there does seem to be a unifying network at work here, and this seems to be the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst International Nazi Consortium. Indeed, it's interesting to note the proliferation also of neo-Nazi Gladio 2 programming in Russia, that this directly connects to the psychopolitical agenda of the Russian state also. So it's all very interesting how these Nazi and Soviet intelligence continuums are converging so much. Indeed, it does seem that the British and American intelligence services have, since not long after the Second World War, had some sort of accord with the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. Indeed, the US intelligence structure, especially the CIA and NSA networks, are so heavily permeated with Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst also, just as the British intelligence structure is. And it seems that there is a battle going on for the minds of the Anglo populations, a battle that is being influenced by eugenicist ideologies of the British intelligence services and by the Nazi ideologies of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst and by the psychopolitical ideologies of the neo-Soviet Russian intelligence services. So it's all very interesting how it interlinks. Indeed, one must also consider the Chinese influence in the battle for the Anglo mind. Indeed, the Chinese influences seem to be directly connected to the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst networks. As I've previously theorized, there seems to have been a hookup between Nazi intelligence and Chinese intelligence over the years. I'm not entirely sure exactly what agenda this is, but it seems that the surveillance and digital intelligence structures that the Chinese intelligence services have rolled out in China seem to be basically a laboratory experiment for the kind of surveillance and digital structures that the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, overarching intelligence agency, wishes to construct in the Anglosphere. So it all seems to be interlinking in a rather scary manner. Indeed, I'm not entirely sure what the future holds, but I don't think it's a particularly bright future that we're headed into. Indeed, it does seem like the United Kingdom is overwhelmingly run by a psychocracy. This is John Rawlings Rees's Tavistockian cabal of psychiatrists. And with the impending synthetic drug explosion, I have no doubt that we'll witness John Rawlings Rees's 5,000 psychiatric shock troop theory coordinating the population. Indeed, there are going to be a lot of test subjects in the future who have basically shattered their own minds on synthetic drugs, and there they will be prime candidates to become test subjects of the intelligence services agenda. Indeed, this already seems to be an ongoing theme. It's interesting that a lot of my programming began when I first took an interest in synthetic substances, although I believe I had been designated for programming before I began experimenting with synthetic substances. It does seem to coincide with that. Indeed, I believe various high IQ networks were analyzing me because when I was a spice crackhead, basically, I was suddenly talking about things that I didn't have much knowledge of, but with complete clarity and a deep knowledge of. So it didn't make much sense. Indeed, it seemed like even the chemicals I was using recreationally were being specifically engineered for some sort of intelligence purpose. So I don't quite know what to make of what occurred to me during those days at Grenville Lodge, but it all does seem to have been part of an intelligence function, and certain high IQ societies seem to have been involved in that. And as I've stated, these high IQ societies are directly interconnected with the intelligence services of the United States and the United Kingdom. So it's very interesting to consider this, and also to link this to the British intelligence operative H.G. Wells's vision of the hive mind, whereby society would all be constructed in a kind of group psychology hive mind. And I believe that the British intelligence services fear schizophrenics because they cannot fit the schizophrenic mind into the hive mind. So any kind of collective consciousness that the British intelligence services wish to produce in the future will be challenged by the neurodivergent nature of the schizophrenic mind. Indeed, as I stated before, there is a large sanist philosophy within the British intelligence services, and I still believe that the British intelligence services are going to roll out the implantation of microchips to all schizophrenics. Indeed, it will be promoted as voluntary, but if you don't have the microchips implanted, you will basically be left without any kind of support or finances. So the British intelligence services are basically going to force the schizophrenic population into being implanted with microchips. Indeed, I was speaking to a student psychologist about this, and she was stating that she'd been to a gathering where the ideas behind the microchipping of the schizophrenic population were promoted, and that it was really quite a scary concept. Indeed, it does seem to be the way that psychiatry is going is geared towards the techno-lobotomy, as I'm terming it. The techno-lobotomization of the schizophrenic population does seem to be on the horizon. Indeed, right now we have chemical lobotomies in the form of antipsychotic drugs. However, I believe that the British intelligence services believe that the antipsychotic drugs do not go far enough in their eyes protecting society from the insane. Indeed, so the next stage of the agenda is to roll out the mass microchipping of the schizophrenic population. I believe that this mass microchipping has already begun to occur in the neo-Soviet Russian Federation, which is dominated by psychopolitical thought. Indeed, Russia is also a psychocracy, with the use of much punitive political psychiatry also, and deep state surveillance tactics that are very stringent. Indeed, it's all very disconcerting when one thinks about it deeply. The fact that the population of mental patients are basically punished for having different minds. Indeed, even my incarceration for 5 years, though it was supposedly designed to help me and cure me, basically, it did seem more like punishment. And mental patients are being punished for being crazy by a eugenicist psychiatric establishment. That's basically what it boils down to. Indeed, no one actually takes the time to listen to the things you say. Everything is just dismissed as delusion, and they basically tell you you're not allowed to have those thoughts. The idea is to basically stop you from thinking. So first they attempt psychochemical lobotomies, and next they are going to attempt techno-lobotomies through the form of a specific type of microchip, which they will promote as stopping the psychotic thoughts, but in fact it will stop you from any kind of free thought altogether. Indeed, this seems to be part of the cosmic war that I've described before. Indeed, I think describing it as a cosmic war between schizophrenics and Freemasons may be selling it short a bit. It seems to be a cosmic war. In the United Kingdom perspective, a cosmic war between schizophrenics and British intelligence. Indeed, I do believe that the British intelligence services are most probably in the process of shutting down their schizophrenic super spy programs, because these schizophrenic super spies that have been programmed by British intelligence have become severe security risks. And I do not doubt that many of them are beginning to talk about their experiences and beginning to talk about the experimentation done by the British intelligence services upon paranoid schizophrenics. Indeed, it's all part of an overarching agenda that connects British intelligence to the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst networks of Nazi psychiatrists and the Russian intelligence networks of psychopolitical psychiatrists. Indeed, this overarching psychiatric agenda seems to be unified. Indeed, we have such networks as the World Federation for Mental Health, which combines many of the philosophies of these network strands. So it's all interlinking into a grand psychiatric agenda, which not only targets the mental patient population, but the psychocracy also targets the wider population, the so-called normal people, and attempts to create mass traumas within the population to justify the psychiatric agenda, basically, which is all interlinking with the Gladio 2 program, which allows for the carrying out of false flag attacks, which strengthen the government structure through stricter security measures, with the population asking for greater protection from perceived external threats. And this concept I've delineated many times. This is not to say that there aren't external threats. Indeed, despite previous things I've said, the Russian intelligence services are an external threat, just as the Faith of Ishmael networks are an external threat, though I don't believe the Faith of Ishmael networks in the United Kingdom are particularly well organized. And they are basically being used by both British and Russian intelligence for various purposes, and also by the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst Nazi continuum, who are basically responsible for modern jihadism. Indeed, it is interesting to consider that the Faith of Ishmael networks are, on their own, they are not actually a threat to the United Kingdom society. They are a threat to vulnerable people, but they are not organized enough to actually take over the United Kingdom. And they are basically just being used by criminal-oriented elements in the British, Russian, and extraterritorial Nazi networks for the purposes of those networks. Agendas, basically. It's all interesting to consider that the Faith of Ishmael aren't organized enough to really do anything, and they're also not the brightest generally. So I don't believe that they are an intelligence threat. And they are so easily manipulated by outside intelligence agencies than their own community that it's interesting to think. Indeed, this is all part of the formation of dialectics, with the intelligence agencies basically fomenting the rise of far-right politics to suit the agenda of the intelligence agencies. But the intelligence agencies always play both sides. So the intelligence agencies are not only promoting far-right politics, they are also promoting far-left politics. And this is all part of an agenda to control the population, whereby the population will be too busy fighting each other that they won't wake up to the fact that the intelligence agencies are implementing a vast criminal octopus on the United Kingdom in collusion with networks of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst and the psychopolitical networks of the neo-Soviet Russian Federation. Indeed, these are all interlinking elements, and one could term this as being driven by the Illuminati networks, but there's no specific overarching network that can directly be traced solely to the Bavarian Illuminati of 1776. Indeed, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst networks and various British intelligence and Russian intelligence networks do trace their heritage back to the Bavarian Illuminati, but there are so many other occult orders in this intermingling of intelligence agencies and secret societies that it's not as simple as simply analyzing this overarching entity as the Illuminati. It's not as simple as doing that. There's so many other aspects to consider. Indeed, I'm going to leave it there now.